For those of you that survived the 2022 DDF Racer Circuit Thermalito community event, today's car is going to seem quite familiar. What better way to highlight the differences between old Thermalito and new Thermalito than by firing up the RSS Formula America's 2020 car? We already know this thing is going straight to the top of the leaderboard, let's be real. If you're new here, then every 2 weeks I take a new car out on track and give myself 30 minutes to set the best time that I can. After that, the 24/7 hot lap server, hosted by Just Race, goes live, and it's your turn to go and beat my time, with the best time making it as the official entry onto the Circuit Thermalito leaderboard. Normally, the car is picked by one of the Kickstarter backers who funded the development of Circuit Thermalito, but for this part of the series, you can thank me instead, or maybe curse me. Either way, links to the car, if you don't already have it from the community event, along with the circuit and the hot lap server, are down in the video description. Now, before we progress with this video any further, I want to make something nice and clear. This isn't a free mod, this is a paid mod, made by Racing Studios. Now, I like to try and stick to free mods whenever possible because it means that more people can use the content, more people can take part. However, there's just something special about this car, about this top-level Indy car. Well, sorry, it's not actually an Indy car, I'm not allowed to say that. It's based loosely on the IR18, but it's not because of licensing and stuff. Well worth it in my opinion, if you haven't already got it from the community event that we ran here a few years ago. Anyway, disclaimer out the way, let's have a look at the actual car itself. 700 horsepower, which is by far the most powerful car we've had around here so far in these challenges, and it only weighs 845 kilos as well, which is not quite as light as the Mini, but it's definitely still on the lighter end of things, and that means that the power to weight ratio on this thing is just bonkers. It really is. It goes, it accelerates like nobody's business. You're up at 200, 300k before you even realize. Now, there's no traction control and there's no ABS either, so you are controlling this with your left foot, your right foot, and your two hands. That's it. Not even any power steering. In terms of the force feedback, you don't really feel that too much. The FFB by default is on the low side a bit for this car. You can adjust it in the setup options, but me personally, I think that the force feedback, definitely compared to other cars, isn't as strong, and I would have expected it to be much stronger. But I think that's just a general Racing Studios thing across the board, to be honest with you. I think that's just the way that they do things. Oh, the speed through there is insane. The aerodynamic grip is just amazing in this car. When you think of Indy cars, you don't necessarily think of just pure downforce, but these cars do have an amazing ground effect going on, and you know, the wings aren't exactly useless either, so I think it surprises a lot of people who don't necessarily know a lot about IndyCar. They expect it to be kind of NASCAR-y, and you know, pure power and pure speeds based on ovals, but stick one of these on a road course with some good aero, and it's not going to fall off the road anytime soon, unless you overdrive it, and it is very easy to overdrive this thing, especially as you get nearer the limit. It's so finicky, it really is. It will bite you without a moment's notice, and it will have absolutely no regrets doing it either. And it's mostly going to be the rear that goes as well, whether it's through a compression, an elevation change, or if you look at one of the bumps wrong. Like, for example, these curbs, that red curb on the inside, I can't tell you how many times I hit that during my 30-minute run, and it just spat the car off into the distances. Well, I'm sure you can probably see through the magic of editing right now. But I also said compressions and elevation changes as well. It's very prone to that. The suspension is very stiff on these things. And I also binned it a few times in turn 8, as I'm sure you are once again now going to see as well. So yeah, this is a very hard car to push to the limit, but if you can get the confidence, if you can just settle it down and not overdrive it and just kind of caress it into the corners, then it's going to reward you with quite frankly, ludicrous speed. You will need to wait for the tyres to come up to temperature though. It's not a car that you can just push immediately on the outlap. Even though tyre blankets are enabled, just give it a couple of laps and then really start to push. But if you push from the outlap, yeah, you're going in the wall. I guarantee it. But on the flip side of that, these softer tyres, the red stripe tyres, they're not going to last you too long either. Give it about 5 or 6 laps and then the wear's going to start kicking in. You know, you're going to be down 20-30%, especially if you slide it around. So in terms of getting a hot lap on the board, there's a very narrow window for this car. Corner exits are definitely the trickiest. The rear tyres are going to suffer more than anywhere else. You are going to need first gear as well. It's very quick to get up to 5th and 6th, but the gears in the lower corners, I mean, I'm obviously cruising it around a bit here. I'm not driving at the full potential, otherwise I probably wouldn't be able to speak to you. It really does require that much concentration. But yeah, for the slower speed stuff, of which there is plenty at Circuit Thermalito, then you're going to need to be in first gear because it is a very, very peaky car. It thrives on high revs. If you try and short shift it out the corners, it's just going to bog down. It really is. It's going to be so boggy. This thing also does have push to pass. It's available 10 times, and it gives you an extra boost of 60 horsepower for 15 seconds. And there is a recharge time involved as well. You can't just spam it for the duration of the lap and be on push to pass 100%. You can press the button, use it for 15 seconds, and then it's going to have to cool off for I think another 15-20 seconds as well. I'm not entirely sure, I haven't checked, but it's significant. If you time it right over the start-finish line here, if you press it now as you come out the final corner, you can get a good boost down the start-finish straight and after the Eagle Cot Junction turns 1 and 2, and then you can use it again after the tunnel, after the first tunnel. As you come out of the MJSs, you can use it again then, but then again you can only use it 10 times in one session, so that's 5 attempts. So it's going to be tricky with the soft tyres, with the low fuel, with the car setup tweaks, with the push to pass. There's so many variables at play for this hot lap challenge that it's all going to have to come together in a perfect window. When everything hooks up, when you get it just right, you're confident in the car and you get everything nailed that I've just mentioned. Wow, is it fast. It's incredibly satisfying as well. I mean, I know this track doesn't exist in reality, but I genuinely think that this would be a great location for the actual IndyCar series. We did it before as part of the DDF Racer Community event in 2022? November, I think it was. Great memories, great memories. I had a blast around the old version of Circuit Thermalito, and I think the professionals would have an absolute field day here. I'd love to see that. Anyway, great job, Racing Studios. Seriously, fantastic car. But I think that's enough cruising around, and now it's time to see what it can do around the new version of Circuit Thermalito. My full, unedited 30-minute session is available for all DDF Racer channel members, although, to be fair, it is me just spinning and crashing for the vast majority of it. But if you're just here to see the lap and see what kind of ridiculous time this car can put on the leaderboard, then here it is. Get ready, this one's going to be over before you blink. Over the start-finish line and into turns 1 and 2, Eagle Cot Junction. Avoid the curbs, nicely done, threading the needle. Oh, bit of wiggle getting the power down and up the hill towards Devonport. 4th gear down into 2nd, nice and stable, don't push too wide, don't use too much curb. Minor lift through the rainy curves here. Not quite flat, frustratingly, then across the top of Mokang Drive. How fast is turn 8 whole corner going to be? Incredibly fast, that's the answer. And then through the tunnel, braking again. Really got to slow it down here. This bump on the inside is horrible. Hug the wall and up and over the top. Very easy to lose the rear there through the MJSs. Along the sticky straight, heading towards the Hunter Loop. Brake just at the AstroTurf on the right, down into 1st gear. Keep it nice and tight. The car will always push wide at the apex there, no matter what you do. Out of the Hunter Loop and onto the Abaden Straight. It's over before you know it here. Down into 2nd, into Binsbergen, hop over the curb as much as you can, keep it to the left, and right into Jarensen. Slight tap on the barrier there, and turning into Chicanemund, and another tap on the barrier. There's a few tenths already, but thankfully the suspension's made of stronger stuff. Heading towards the power loop, no lockup, that's good, nice and tight. Straight line the exit as much as possible. Slight wiggle there. Heading up the SCB straight into the Naumann hairpin. Oh, it's pushing wide though. You really want to be tighter than that because that affects you all the way through these S's because it is absolutely flat. Don't hit that curve on the inside. Very close to the wall on the outside there. And into Bergen Bend. Don't take the curb too much on the inside. It'll unsettle the car. Get the power down through the rangy kink. And there we go. Wow. That was quick. Before we see what kind of ridiculous time this car can put on the leaderboard, we have to discuss something that isn't quite as quick, and that is the Mini from the previous challenge in round 3. Now, my best time was a 2:36.350, but rather predictably in the Matt Webb Hot Lap challenge is what I should probably call this. You can see when I absolutely smashed that time at the park with a 2:34.858, which means that of all the cars we've put on the board so far, he holds the record for all of them. So yeah, let's see if we can beat him this time. And speaking of which, what's the target? Well, I do like single-seaters. I have had a lot of experience driving this car, especially at Thermalito. It was the main test car that I used here. But what was it? Well, no surprises, it was under 2 minutes, but to be more precise, it was a 1:43.773, which puts it straight to the top with a massive advantage. Let's see if you guys can go and beat that. Now, to get the most out of the IndyCar, there's a lot of factors that are all going to have to come together at the same time. Soft tyres, low fuel, push to pass, and obviously there's a lot of things you can tweak in the car setup as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what these aliens can do. The 24/7 Hot Lap server, hosted by Just Race, is now open. There's a link to that down in the video description, along with a link to the car and the track, and just another reminder, the car is a paid mod by RaceSim Studios. Good luck everybody, you're gonna need it.